Yeah, okay. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming. Sorry, what? No, okay. Let's get started. My name is Yannick Gaultier. I'm from a small company in France. I'm living in France. I'm here to talk to you today about using an AI assistant inside of Joomla. It's something that we built about a year ago, and now is your chance to leave if this is not what you are expecting. So, like I said, my company is called Weebler.com. We've been involved with Joomla since 2005, roughly, specializing in SEO extensions and services, mostly extensions. And because SEO is also content, and is mostly and more becoming content, we have also developed a series of extensions dealing with content inside of Joomla. And as you all know, naturally, 18 months ago, a bit more than 18 months ago, AI came into the scene. So we have worked on integrating something that's based on AI to improve content, still with the idea that it should be used to, or our purpose is to use it in the context of improving the content for SEO for Joomla websites. Very briefly, I have just a few slides here. I'm going to provide a bit of context on what I've been trying to do, and then we'll switch to a demo, which is the risky party, so please be kind. I'll go very quickly. Here we all know today what's AI, what we mean by AI. It's a term that's been used for a very long time. But the real modern era of AI started at the beginning of 2022. There were a few developer tools such as Tab9, GitHub Copilot that appeared at about that time. And then the first public, let's say, for the general public thing that appeared was something called DALL-E, and then very quickly after that, Stable Diffusion and Midjourney, and they were attractive because there were things that would produce images. So that attracted the mind of the general public. And then on that date, on November 30, ChatGPT was published, and it was the first real appearance of something that could really be called intelligent, because when you chatted with it, you felt like you were chatting with somebody. So it's called the Turing test, and it's something that really was public and in my mind succeeded to that test. So that changed everything, because soon after that everybody wanted to be involved in that AI thing. I'm going to skip that. There's a lot of discussion on whether these things are intelligent or not. The basis of it is that they are predicting the next word in a series, and because they have been trained on gigantic volumes of information, it does look like they are really intelligent, and that's up to you to decide what you think about that. Starting from, but they were not that intelligent at the start, and from the middle of 2023, OpenAI, which is definitely the leader in that field at the moment, they came up with GPT-4, which is the series of artificial intelligence models that we are still using today. There have been some generations of GPT-4 models, but we are still in that generation today, and that's what you are using. And the point is that there's ChatGPT that you've been using to chat with ChatGPT, hence the name, but there is also what's called an API, which lets developers use these technologies to do other things. And that's what opened the door to many other tools that use AI, including the one I'm going to present to you today. Very quickly, a consequence of having AI available like that through an API and ChatGPT, I've listed a few. You make your choice, what you think is going to happen and what's not going to happen. Some of them are like most of you maybe are people who make websites, and so it's been announced that you'll be out of job very quickly. I hope that's not going to happen. Translators are out of jobs, maybe, as many of them that will happen. SEO, in my field, SEO is dead, and Google is dead, of course. But that was what appeared a year and a half ago, so not all of this has really materialized. Very quickly again, because we're all doing websites, I had a talk yesterday that was very extensive on SEO, AI, and search engines. So I'm not going to redo it because it's a lot. I don't have the time for that. But there's obviously an impact on search engines and SEO and what you do with your site, the content you put out, and what's the impact on search. The short story is that they are still search engines, that ChatGPT is not a search engine. It's not something where you can search for things, at least not reliably. There are things you can search for in ChatGPT, and it provides you with information. There are things you're going to search for, but you can't trust the information it's giving you, because it's always going to give you a reply, good or bad, and you don't really know what's happening. So it's really convenient because it gives you a reply, an answer, but you can't really trust that reply some percentage of times, and we don't know that percentage. So there are still search engines are still there, and they'll be there. And actually, it's very telling that ChatGPT has started to build and make like semi-public another system called Search GPT, which is not really public at the moment. It's like in test and in beta and test reserved for some people only. And it's working essentially like Bing and Google. So what you ask a question, they try to understand that question. They do a search on Bing because they have partnerships with Bing, and then they get responses for that query, for that search from Bing, and they summarize that and then present that to you. Which means that, I'm back to my point that ChatGPT itself is not a search engine and can't be used that way. Meaning we still have to do SEO and we still have to please the search engines. Again, very quickly, for those that were not here yesterday, this is what the inclusion of AI-generated results in Google search results page looks like. You have on some queries, on some question, when you ask some questions to Google right now, you will get these AI-generated responses. And of course, there are still some links. You can see them at the bottom, but they are, some distance away. And there's a big question about how many people are going to click on these results and come to your website and your Joomla website. So we don't know that. This is happening as we speak. Okay, enough for the SEO. I've made an extension called For AI. It's for AI in your Joomla website. And I'm going to say a few things about it. When I started looking at using AI inside websites, inside Joomla to do things, I very quickly realized after testing a little bit that these systems are good for some things and are not very good for other things. So I've sort of classified things in this way. To create content, which is what you would expect naturally, I have this AI, they can generate things, so I'm going to tell them, write me an article. The thing is, writing an article may not be the best use of them because that's not where they are, where they shine. SEO being a reason for that. We may get back to that. So content creation, it's good and it's bad. There's good and bad. Translation, they are excellent. Generally, processing text for refinement, they are very good at summarizing things. They are very good at writing a description, a title, or to make a piece of text shorter. They are not so good at expanding some text or restyling some text. So the common point that you can see maybe here is that when they have to create text, then they're not as good. When they have to shorten, to summarize, to make it shorter, they are really, really good and probably better than most of us. Very quickly, searching, they are excellent at that. They're using AI and LLMs for search inside of Joomla website would be terrific. It would be great, but it's really difficult to do with the current infrastructure. You need more stuff than what's usually available when you run a Joomla site. Namely, you need another type of database. You can't do that when you're running the typical MySQL database system. You can't do vector search at the moment. So you need external systems, which makes it quite difficult for the average Joomla website to integrate that. So hopefully this will change. Very quick summary of the top providers for now of AI APIs. There's OpenAI, which is a company making ChatGPT. There's Azure, which is from Microsoft, which is a Microsoft company, and they used to be best buddies with OpenAI, and now they are like worst enemies. It's a money thing, apparently. There's Google with Gemini, which is also a top-level kind of AI. There is a company called Claude, which was created. The company is Anthropic. It was created by people who used to work at OpenAI and were not happy with the way things were done. So all these, the top four are commercial entities. And there's, well, it's also commercial entities, but there's another company which happened to be created by French people, which is called Hugging Face, and which hosts many AI models, and you can host them for free, and to some extent you can run them for free there, and they are an alternative. But for all practical and intent and purpose, I have focused on using OpenAI, the OpenAI API, because it's the most reliable, it's the most exhaustive, it covers really everything, and it's way easier to just use than, for instance, Google Gemini, which is creating an account there, and an app is just a nightmare. So I have not gone through that pain. So you may ask then, for AI, you may ask why would you need something inside of Joomla while you can just go to and pay for it, because the API, you have to pay for it, and sorry to say, my extension, you have to pay for the pro version of it. Why would you need something while you can just go to ChatGPT and ask questions and go to DALL-E and have images created? Well, there are already some plugins to integrate, but there are AI into Joomla. They are really, really simple. There are two things that's really important. First, prompting, and you're all familiar, I hope, with the word prompting. It's how you ask, and the question you ask these models is actually quite difficult to get good results. And actually, it's quite difficult already for many people. You don't know they don't know what to write. I'm assuming you're used to that and you can do that. But for many people, it's just knowing what to write and what question to ask to get a decent result is really hard. And the other thing is, once you have a reply, once you have something, then integrating that back into Joomla can be tedious or really difficult. If you were talking about an image, what you get is a PNG from DALL-E or Midjourney. You get a URL to an image on some server from the company, for that OpenAI company, and and what do you do then? You need to integrate it into your Joomla site, so you need to be on your server, you need to be on the right format, on the right dimensions, and you don't get that. So there's a need for integration. And so I have classified things into a few categories, and I've built a plugin to do just that. The first kind of actions to be taken is transforming already existing things, then creating things, new thing, context, images. There's a special focus on images because it might be interesting. I actually don't know if it's really interesting because these images are what they are, but it might be useful. And then doing SEO tasks, because I'm an SEO guy, and that's also an area where it's really useful. And then everything is social. I know you guys all like to write tweets and Facebook posts, but I don't. So I'd rather use something to write them for me. And then chat, because sometimes you just want to have a quick question. So I went very quickly on that. I'm just going to show what it looks like in practice. And so this is a live demo. Most likely things will go wrong, and I apologize for that. Generally speaking, things work quite well. Okay, so can you all see that? Yeah, that's good. Okay, so what you're seeing here is the admin page of 4AI installed in a stock Joomla website. This is not something you'll see very often, because the only thing you need to use here, maybe when you install it, is you need to provide a secret key, an API key that you get from OpenAI. But that's pretty much it. You've got simple statistics showing here about how much data and how much tokens you've used, but that's pretty much it. So we're going to start by, I'm just going to show you a couple of scenarios where you could use that. So the first thing we are going to do although, yeah, you may have noticed, I think, yeah, you can, you may have noticed it. Yeah, I lost my mouse. You have this small icon here. This is what you use to, this is something that shows that 4AI is available for you. It's displayed on every page on the site. And when you have that, you can open it up and do things with it. So we are just, sorry, we're just going to go to the most usual things, open an article and just edit that. So let's say I'm going to search for, I have this wonderful article that is about the best way and the risk of bleaching your clothes when you put them into a machine washer, which is obviously a topic that you're all interested in. And when you have an article like that open and you have the 4AI things icon open here, you can click on it, or usually I would just use a shortcut to open it. And that's where the user interface comes up. And you can see at the top these tabs, which are the ones I outlined earlier. And you've got a bunch of functions here. I'm going to remove the additional options to make it less scary. Transform things, create image, do SEO, do things related to social, and chat with ChatGPT. I'm going to show you that very quickly because it's easier. This is something you can, that lets you chat with ChatGPT directly without having to go to the website. Sometimes it's convenient if you want to just ask a quick question, but it's not just that. There are two benefits to using this chat. The first thing is that on all pages, you can see that here I can select the model that I'm using, and I have all the latest models available. So if you go to the free of charge ChatGPT version, you're only using the older models, and you can have access to the more recent models, but which are higher quality and faster and cheaper, but it's really limited. Normally you're using older models which are less performant. With this you can select which one you're using, and the point is that you can do that by just paying for the exact queries that you're using it for. While if with the regular ChatGPT, if you want to use the more recent models, the best ones, you have to pay the ChatGPT Plus subscription, which is $20 per month. So there might be an interest there. And the second big thing is that if you're using the API through this, your data is not used for training. Whatever you do here is not used for training GPT-5 and GPT-6 and GPT-7 and so on. So it's more private, which is important if you're writing your own content and you're asking questions about it. So this is how it works. We're just going to ask a question. Whoa. Press better than Joomla, something non-controversial at all. And yeah, there you go. So you've got a quick answer, it's working, and you can have something let's say something a bit more complex, like code, or let's say CSS code for a grid with 3 rows and 5 columns, that sort of thing. So that can help sometime if you're stuck with a CSS or whatever. You got that, and you can copy that, either each response. Yeah, it'll repeat 3, 1 FR. Yeah, it makes sense. So that's good, and you can copy the entire chat and so on. So, but that's just chatting with it. So that's not really what I wanted to show to you. So I'm going to go very quickly because there are many features and functions here. The most obvious one is that you can do so you can see that because we are on an article page, it picked up the content of the article automatically, and it provides it here as the source text. The one thing that I want to point out, and you can see, is that it's not working based on the text. It's working on the fully formatted HTML content, including all the image, including the caption of this image. And that's the general idea I was mentioning, the integration with Joomla. If you copy paste from your Joomla editor into ChatGPT, and you ask it to do something about it, what you'll probably get back is something that's hard to use inside of Joomla directly. It may need some work, especially if you're like asking for translations, for instance. So I'm going to just point out, you've got here details about how much money, how much token is going to be used, an estimate of how much money is going to cost you. I just want to point out that you can see the number. I hope you can see the number here. It's like if I was to translate or spell check this entire text, it would cost me $0.008. So, I mean, it costs something, but it's not something that's costing you a lot of money. So you can go safely with it. And this is my experience. Even if I use it heavily during a month, at the end of the month, if I pay $1 or $2, it's already a lot of work done. It's not something that's really expensive. So let's just click here. The basic thing is that you can do a spell check. You have more options. I'm going to skip all of that because you don't need all of that right now. You have more options to check, but at the very basic level, you click submit request, and with something like that, it will probably need 15 to 20 seconds to work. It's not, when it does things like that, it's not as fast as ChatGPT because they put all their big servers. It was not about it. The big servers on the ChatGPT side of things, and not so much for the API, I guess. It's fast enough for me because, like Peter here, I don't want to, keep you busy and entertain for 20 seconds each time, and I'm not going to dance or anything like that, like Peter mentioned yesterday. So we got the results here, and of course it's hard to see if they actually changed anything. So we have added this feature here where you can see the differences, and you can see what it's changed. So you can see that without the point here is that without asking anything, it's spell checked, but it also changed a little bit the wording. So it's not just spell checking, but it might rewrite it in a given style, or just check that it's correctly syntactically speaking. Now I'm going to discard that, and I'm going to show you something that maybe you're going to be able to test or to evaluate for me, because I don't know. I'm going to ask it to translate it to German. The 4 languages that you can see here are the one. This is a multilingual site, so it's got 4 languages installed, and it's showing 4AI is offering them at the top. And then you've got a bunch of other languages that we know pretty much for sure that the API is going to be able to use with reasonable success. So let's go and see what it does with it. I don't speak a single word of German, so you will be the only one judge of what it's doing. But there's an interesting thing about that. It means that maybe you're not speaking Chinese, but maybe you want to do stuff in Chinese, and you have some level of ability to do it now. Like I can translate that, and from my experience, asking ChatGPT or this system to translate things, I would actually probably publish that on my website, just trusting it with the quality of the translation. Not that it's perfect, but that it's enough to, starting from a good version in French or in English, it's enough to be published. Enough meaning that it's better than if I don't have a German version, which is my definition of enough, and you might have a different one. Now, so now I have whatever that is, and you may notice a few things. First, we have maintained the image, the formatting. The caption has been translated as a caption. And in addition, 4AI asked the API to create on top a title. So it didn't translate the title. I asked it to translate the content and then create a title based on the translated content and create a meta description. You can see that at the bottom from the title, from the translation. So now you can redo that. You can ask it to modify the suggestions and iterate over it if it's not good enough. And that's where we get into integration. You can ask it to replace the editor content. Let's assume you've already made a new article. So you can replace the editor content. If I click here, you'll see the content change here. I'm not going to do that because this is a new translation to German. I'm going instead going to click to save as a new article. And when you do that, it proposes you the title, it puts it there. It knows, it asks you for the category where you want to save that article. And because the category, the English category where the original article was already associated, there was already an association within Joomla, it knows that to a German category, it knows that it should select this category by default, although you can, of course, select another one, but by default, it selected that. It selected the German language. It filled in the meta description and the author, but you can change that. And now you can save as a new article. And what's been happening is that it created a new article. It made the associations with the original language version, English language version, and it says you this has been saved as under ID 45, and I can click here to go and see that article. So by default, this article is not published. So I'm going to publish it because I'm trusting them, and then I only have to because I save it because I publish it. I'm going to save it, and then there you have this is the article, the original one. So if I reload it, previously the German article, the German flag here was going to the homepage because there was no article, no translation, but now it should have, yes, it has. And if I click here, I have my see, I told you. Sorry? Yeah, I think I did. No, it's not that. It's probably another of my extensions. That's probably another of my extensions interfering. It wouldn't be fun if it was. Wouldn't be fun if it was not. If it was working perfectly. I'm going to disable this. No, it doesn't want it, so yeah, well, you have to trust me. It's translated, it's there. I don't know why. Yeah, I might have broken it entirely. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, I don't know what I've done. Yeah, it's here, and it is working, and I can go back to the English version. To the French version and to the English version, which is here. So we solved that. I don't know how I solved it, but it's solved, and you have the translation that's here. Yeah. No, that was not artificial. We have to use, human intelligence, and we don't have that much of it. So maybe that's the problem. So let's go back to our original article here. The other thing I wanted to show to you is how to create content, but that's not really that useful, but it works in the same way. And in my experience, that's definitely not where I want to use. I mean, if you have in mind, I'm going to, again, I said that earlier, but if you have in mind that you're going to write a few words here and click a button and you'll have something that you can publish on your website, I mean, you can, but I would not publish. While I would publish the translation that we discussed earlier, I would not publish that article myself here, because what you're going to end up with is a bunch of articles that have literally no value for your users. I mean, it can go very quickly. Like you can publish, I don't know, 10 articles in 5 minutes using that, of course. But if you do that, then the articles that you're going to create are going to be probably about the same that your competition is going to publish, because they are using ChatGPT as well in the very same way. So you have to be cautious if you use that in that way. I wouldn't, and that's why the creation features are like on the second page, not the first page, and there's really no focus on that. But it doesn't mean that you can't use it to create a paragraph, or if you're using ASCII mailing or something like that, it doesn't mean you can't get the draft of your next newsletter using that, of course. So it works the same way. You tell it, let me just take one of the example. Again, maybe you don't want to, I don't know, you want to do that. Maybe you want to do it in French. You have a few settings, and I mentioned in my introduction that the goal was to guide the prompts. So that's why you have settings here. What the purpose of this text? Is it to insert information, to find something, to investigate, or to complete a transaction? These 4 categories are the pillars of SEO. This is the 4 kinds of requests that a visitor can do, or the four intents that have been found people are having when they do a search on Google. So you try to do create content that matches one of these 4 intents, and that's depending on what you want to do. So if you have an e-commerce and you want them to buy things, then you're probably going to use this setting. And the point I was making earlier is that it would be really difficult for most of your website administrators to write a prompt asking ChatGPT to write an article about 3 recipes for a vegan dinner using a complete an action or do a transaction purpose. This is why we are replacing this with drop-down selects, and then you can, of course, here in a funny way select the style, and it's usable for many more people than otherwise. And you got a bunch of additional settings that you can use if you want to go deeper. Then we ask it. Peter can do a little dance while we are waiting for it, but it was not too bad. You wouldn't have had time. So we got something, and it's French, but this time you also have to trust me. It's pretty decent, and it's something I could have written, and I'm not kidding. It's really something. Now, is it something that the next 25% could have written as well? Yes. I mean, those in the room speaking French and all the other ones, but so there's nothing special about it, and that's the danger of it. There's nothing special about it. So if you put that on a website, you know that many other websites will put out the same thing. So again, please go back to what I said earlier yesterday. If you are interested in that, you want to do other things. Yes. Sorry? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go to the image part next because it's funny. Although with images we have about the same there's the same caution to have, because the images, I mean, you've seen I guess pretty much all of you can recognize these images and say, oh, this has been created with an AI, So it was funny at the beginning, but then you kind of lose interest. So yeah, use with caution. So it's the same thing here. You can save that as a new article. You can replace, I'm going to do that, but then later not save. You can say, okay, this is good, I'm going to reuse that in my article, and here I can close the thing, and maybe I save or I don't save. It's entirely up to me. I'm not going to save because I would lose that, but okay. And I'm just reopening it. So yeah, let's look at images. Images works exactly the same. You write a content description, and okay, I'm just going to put my cursor here. Let's say I want to put because I'm going to insert, for AI is going to insert the image when we are done into the content, so I'm just making some space here. To the article, you mean?
Yeah. And if you go to the second tab, not the content, but images and links.
Oh, yeah, here.
Will you put it here?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Wait. Because what you actually do is you create the image, and then you decide where you're going to use it. So what? Yeah, Sigrid. So let's say Sigrid. So no, let me just explain a little bit. You have a few settings. You can select the image size. So depending on the model you're using, it's also only the OpenAI model, DALL-E 3, DALL-E 2. DALL-E 2 is faster and cheaper, but it can make only smaller image, and its quality is much. Its understanding of what you want to use is lower. So I would just use DALL-E 3, which is the latest and works much better. Then, based on which model you select, you have the image dimensions that you can pick up. A big image, horizontal big image, a vertical big image, or a square big image. 2024 by 2024 is pretty good. Yes?
If you want another dimension?
You can't. You can't. Because this is what DALL-E 3 is able to do. So it's not about 4AI itself, it's just what DALL-E 3 can do. If you go to DALL-E 2, the older model, then these are the dimensions they can do, and that's it. 512, 512, only squared, 1024, 1024, and 256, 256. If you go to DALL-E 3, then you have a bit more choice. Horizontal, vertical, and square. I'm going to use square, although for most cases you probably want a horizontal one, like a banner or just illustration for your blog. I'm going to show you to use 1024 by 2024 because this is the only size they can generate, and then later you can tell them, oh, I don't want this here, remove it. But they can only do that with a square image right now. So, but it doesn't matter. Normally you would use a horizontal one. Quality, standards is totally fine. Don't go any above that. Natural and vivid. So the point here again is that instead of having to imagine many words to say something, you pick up choices here. So let's say Sigrid had an image yesterday. So Sigrid working on a piece of Joomla code at her desk. At her desk, and then you can have modifiers that you don't have to use them. I'm going to use Bauhaus, why not? And yeah, colored pencil. Honestly, I haven't tried all the combinations, but so here we go. So you've got more options if you want. One thing that's important is that you only write the description of what you want to create. You're not going to say here an image of Sigrid doing this, and there's a good reason for that. You'll see that later. And if you want to have more details, you can add more details in that additional box. So I'm going to generate that. Usually it's 15 to 20 seconds as well. And once it's generated, we are going to, yeah, it's not bad. So this is definitely not Sigrid because the hair are not the same. But one important thing here, you can see here that this image is expiring in 58 minutes. So when you go to ChatGPT or DALL-E 3 and you ask it to create an image for you, it creates an image, it stores it on their server, it gives you a URL, and they destroy it an hour later. So we know that. We make a copy of that image, but we also expire it in 1 hour time. So you can do several things. You can go back and just redo the whole thing, or you can save the image on your computer, on your server, on the server your Joomla site is running on. So before I do that, and which is the whole point of having an integration here. Before I do that, I'm going to quickly show. Yeah, I'm going to try and do. Well, I mean, that's sometimes not working that well, so we'll see. So I want to modify that image, and to modify that image, it works in 2 steps. I'm not happy. I don't want these pens here. So what you do is you wrap around the area you want it to. To change, and then you tell it to what you want to change. Remove the pencil box. Okay, and then you keep your fingers crossed a little bit, and if we are lucky, it's gonna do that. If we're not lucky, this is a demo, so you'll have better luck, I'm sure. Again, this is not something that depends on 4AI. It's really the AI. Yes. What do you mean the pen? Well, it actually works.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So what you have to do? No, you can't. You have to tell them. Okay, you can just write remove the pencil box, but there's like it's going to be 50-50. You don't know what's going to happen. If you the best way to do it is first to select the area where you say, oh, in this area there is something I want to change, and then the success rate goes up a lot. Like it's going to be work. Like you see, you could say it's worked pretty much. So now we have an image, and we can restart. We can redo this process again and again until we are happy, and that's where For AI kicks in, because you can click Save Image, and when you do that, it takes that PNG image from the OpenAI servers. It copied it locally, and then it does 3 things. It saves the original, which is a PNG. I'm gonna. No. Okay, so it saved. It tells you here. It saved the PNG, the original version, but of course you cannot use the PNG because it's like 5 megs or something like that. So what it does is it creates WebP and JPEG versions. Save that. And these WebP and JPEG versions, it actually create 3 of them. One is like a small one, 640 pixel. One is like a medium one, 800 I think, and the last one is like 1200 pixels. So you have the 3 dimensions in WebP and JPEG. And so you have that already on your server. And the nice things, Peter, is that now you have more buttons, and you can do set as the intro image. I'm going to do that. You can set as a full image, and well, we're gonna have too many of them, but you can also just insert it into at the cursor position. Now if I close here, I have as expected, I have the image. And what I wanted to show, because it's not obvious, and for those of you who don't like code, you have to look elsewhere, but this is the image is here, the code for the image. So as you can see, it's not just any, I'm going to see, I hope it's nice enough, but it's not just an image tag. It's an image tag with a CSS class so I can install it, but with a link to the JPEG version. But it also has an SRC set. So for that details, that links to all the different sizes, so that the end result is that if somebody visits your site on a mobile phone, they're going to be served most likely the small version, 640 pixels. But if they are on a tablet, they're going to see, or a small screen, they're going to see the 800 pixel size WebP. And if they're on a larger desktop, they're going to see the 1280 pixels WebP as well. And if there's no WebP, they're going to see support on their browser, which is rare these days. They're going to see the JPEG version. So it's a fully responsive tag. And I can tell you that very few of your website administrators are able to insert such a tag. So it creates the 3 sizes, it slices them for you, it transforms them to WebP, etc., and then can insert that. And for the speed of your website, that's really nice. Okay. So now we have an image, and it's a regular Joomla article. So you save it, and it's there. So very quickly, let's see. Okay, so we have an article. You have a page. You want usually to write a page title, or you may have it ask it for suggestions. Let's say I'm going to very quickly. It works the same way. You've got some text. You say I want to write a page title. You submit the request. It should be pretty quick. And then what it does for AI asks it for suggestions. What do you think would be an alternative to the title? And you have some suggestions. You like it or not? And if you like them, you replace the title in the article. You're going to see here it's going to use that one here. It's now using this one. It works the same way for a meta description. You've got some content. You ask it to rewrite or to suggest 3 meta descriptions. It's doing that now. It's pretty quick because it's only got a few lines to a few words to write. If one of these suits you, you click replace description, and you can see that I didn't look, but yeah, you've got the description that came up here. And then yeah, SEO keywords. So that's for more advanced SEO use. That's actually more interesting. What it's going to do is, if you click that button, it's going to look at the text, and extract keywords. And it's going to extract 3 things. It's going to give you a list of the keywords, and you see them here, that are in your content and that you can use, for instance, to place ads, or to use in other extensions to soft SEO specialized tools. You know, these are the keywords you might want to use. And then because it's also for AI asks it to suggest a list of additional keywords. These are words that are not in your content, but that are related. So maybe again, if you want to write ads, to put ads, then maybe you want to use that for these other keywords that are not in your text but that are related to your content, to focus on when you are doing marketing, or when you are doing, we'll see that next, when you're tweeting or when you are writing Facebook or LinkedIn posts. Now, next up, and that's the last tab, you have written the greatest articles of all on bleaching clothes. Now, of course, you want people to know about it, so you either make Facebook posts, post to Twitter, or do a LinkedIn post. This is what we support at the moment. So let's say a Twitter post, and well, you just click the button. There are options, additional options, but we are going to skip over that. And when you click that button, it's going to suggest you 3 possible texts. So the text is what in German. Okay, yeah, I missed that. I'm going to redo it. One of the additional options. So you see the text, the original text we are looking at here is in English, but of course you have an international audience, so you might want to tweet about it in English. Let's say we are talking, but we have put up the program for JD24DACH 2024 on our website, and we want to publish it, to tweet about it in German, but we also want to tweet about it in English and in French, so that, and in Italian, so that people, you know, are aware of that. But you don't speak all these languages, so you can use that to do it. Like, this is an English text, but I'm going to talk about it to German audience, so I want these tweets to be in German. And now I have 3 tweets which I, of course, don't understand at all, but you read the language, you know the language, you can pick one of them, and then you essentially, if you want to go ahead, you click here, because I'm logged into my Twitter account or X account, then I'm right there, and I can just finalize this, include the image. This is the link to the image that's in the post. This is the link to the post. These are a few hashtags it came up with, and this is the text. I'm not going to click post because this is my actual Weebler account, right? But this is how it works. And there's an additional feature here, is that sometimes, and I suggest you do that because it's really interesting, instead of just doing one tweet, it attracts more attention if you do a tweet, what's called a tweet thread. So you probably have seen that, and it's really easy to do. You can select the tweet thread length, like we're going to do 4 tweets, no, 3, because bleaching is not that hard. And in that case, what we are doing is we're doing a series of tweets. So we have the first tweet where it included the image, and then we have a number 2 and 3 out of 3 and 3 out of 3. And so you can just do the same. You post, you send to Twitter, you post it, and then you take the additional text, you reply to the first tweet that you did, and you reply to the second tweet, and so you can do a tweet thread super easily that way. And it works the same. Of course, if you want to do a LinkedIn post or a Facebook post, there are settings that are more adapted to each social network. Like, for instance, for Facebook, something that's really typical is that you do a post, but let me remove that. It's usually common to try and end your post with a question, so that you entice people to respond and comment on your post. But that's here just a question. That's just here just an option, and it's on by default. So maybe I can do that and see what happens. And I don't remember which language. Yeah, it was in German. So here you go. And that's essentially it. You can copy that to. There is no way to post directly to Facebook, so you'll have to copy to clipboard and go to Facebook and paste that paste that there, but that's pretty much it. And I think that's it for me. So that was a quick demonstration. The site, if you're interested, the site is weblawyer.com. And you have all our extensions there, and you have all details. There's a free version that's mostly limited to the basic core function. Can't do associations and things like that, but it's still an interface to create content. And the pro version, the paid for version, is available from the site. There, any more questions? Yes. Oh, yeah.
I would like to know, can you put, for example, 3 images combined together in one? For example, one of Sigrid, one from the room, and one from Hamburg. And you say, please make one picture.
No. That's not something. That's not the goal of this. The goal of this is to have something that's, I mean, let's assume you're mostly website integrators. You build websites for your clients. The goal of this extension is that you put this in the hands of your clients so that they can make good use more easily and without seeing all the small issues of making content in Joomla with AI, so that they don't have to bother about the size of images, so that they don't have to bother about making associations when they want to translate something, so that they just have a button to click if they want to add an image as the intro image. That's that sort of thing. That's the goal. So there's no way we are going to have something as specific as take 3 images here and there and then put them together. Okay, in which order? Where that's not what it is about. This is about if you want to transform, if your article is too long, it's a bit too long. It's 5,000 words. I'll do I've done myself. It's way too much. Shorten it a little bit, while still retaining the style, while still retaining some. There's a lot of prompting that goes on behind the scene that AI is doing for you, so that the shortening is working fine and you get a good result, without having to type in long prompts that you're not sure you're gonna have. So that's the goal of this. Bart, you have a question? Sorry, Niels, he raised his hand first.
Just a small question. The custom fields, are they also considered here? Like if I have a custom field with text area, is this also?
No, it's the, well, yes and no. It's, let me see. So when you're working here and you open for AI, it's working with the content of the editor, because I have this editor selected. Now, if you are here, this is a custom field, and I'm here, and there was some text. I'm not sure it's going to pick that up. No, it's working off the editor. If this was an editor, I don't know if where I can have another editor. It will use the content of the current editor, and it will work on that. It's not based on the actual rendered HTML, including all of that. If your custom field is using a text editor, if it's this type of custom field, then it's going to pick it up and use that.
Because I have complex sites where you have different blocks and it's title, subtitle, and it's just normal text. But
Yeah.
then you have like a text editor, so it's really only the text editor you can.
Yeah. It's not that I can't. It's just that I want. That's what I'm focused on. Everything is possible, but it's a matter of removing whatever is not needed, because if it's needed for you, it's going to make things much more complex, and then for other people, it's going to be too hard. So that's not my goal. The goal is that most people can use it without having to write complex stuff.
Experience with different base languages. If your website is German or Danish, like that, how good does these things work then?
Okay, so my experience with Danish or German sites is obviously limited. My experience with many with the languages over the years is that everything that's one of the main Western developed countries' languages is going to work fine. Like if it's a matter of volume essentially, and it's not related to OpenAI or Gemini or Google or all that. They are just the same. If there is a lot of data, then it's going to work well. So German is going to be fine.
My experience is if you are prompting in the same language that you're working in, it works much better.
Yeah.
So obviously your prompts are written in English.
Yes, my prompts are in English, but they also take that into account. Like the prompts are done something if there's multilingual involved, it says here are there's a system prompt. So the system prompt includes the fact that my instructions are in English, but there will be some German and maybe lines or words included in the prompt that comes now, and you should give your answer in that language and all of that. And no, it works generally pretty fine, especially if if the only thing is translating. It is no problem. It's no problem. And yeah.
Is this extension working with theme templates?
Okay, that's funny. We were discussing that earlier. So at the moment, it works in the way that you can bring it up. Like if you're on new theme builder, you can bring it up. It will appear, but you have to copy paste stuff. And the reason is that there is no real API. Like UTheme does not allow me to grab the content and put it back in from the client, from within the browser. I was just talking to Stefan earlier, and there might be a way, because in fact within the UTheme builder, I didn't know that, but you can click a button and that brings up the regular Joomla editor. And if it brings up the Joomla editor, then I can probably use that. So there's some work to be done to see, but right now you can, but you have to copy paste. So it's less interesting. Oh yeah. You can copy paste everywhere. Obviously it's not going to be as nice as the rest, but for instance, creating images is going to work the same. It doesn't matter. Because in the end you create the image and then you have an image on your server. So then you can navigate using the media manager or however UTheme is doing it, and you can select the proper image. So generally speaking it works, but it's not as integrated as with the Joomla editor and general operation. Yes?
You have to enter an API key.
Yes.
So the customer who wants to use your extension has additionally to get his own.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not paying for when you are using the OpenAI API. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Can you remove the price? Like if I say you can use my each demand costs €1 or something like that, like you can.
If you charge them $20 per month, but they actually see that it's only using 10 cents. Yeah, I didn't think about that. It's interesting. Yeah, okay. I'll keep it in mind. Okay, yeah, I think. Thank you. Yeah, I never thought about that.